Hello and welcome to the In the Pen podcast, a podcast about relievers, part of the Pitcher List Podcast Network. My name is Jake Crumpler, and as always, I'm joined by Pitcher List bullpen expert Rick Graham. Rick, we are 1 week through the regular season. It has been a pretty wild week. I mean, across the board, we talked before the podcast about how I finally got a raise at my job. Crazier things are happening in the baseball world, but it's been a wild week, not only in just baseball in general, but specifically with relievers. It's been absolutely bonkers, just with so many big names moving around, and anybody could be up for saves right now on so many teams. So it's pretty hectic. How are you feeling about this first week of baseball? And do you think it's gonna, settle down a little bit, or do you think we're gonna have a wild year of closer changes?
It will settle down eventually. I don't know how quickly that's going to be, but yeah, I mean, in baseball in general, I'm pretty sick of. I understand it, but I'm kind of sick of the whole torpedo bat thing. It's like it should be a non-issue. It's a cool thing, but the people that are making it an issue, it's like Trevor McGill needs to chill a little bit. But
I haven't seen his comments. What did he say?
He said something after that first game when they destroyed Nestor Cortez. He said, like, of course, if it's the Yankees, like the Yankees, they won't say anything about it. But it's like it's fine. It's legal. It's everyone's using them. Everyone should use them. Who needs to use them? It's not for everyone. But as far as relievers go, I mean, yeah, it's crazy to see, a closer who was going in the top like 150 ADP in most leagues get not DFA, but get sent down already. After just 34 pitches. So yeah, it's just it goes to show how quick of a short of a leash all these relievers have. I know he's a bigger name closer, but I mean, he's a 2-time All-Star, so it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, totally. That's David Bednar you're referencing, but we'll definitely discuss him for quite a bit later on. But first, we'll discuss our news and injuries and transactions, which will include David Bednar. But we will look to recap everything that happened in the week and hopefully help you make decisions on who to keep and who to add and who to drop. So let's start it off with our injuries, as Jesus Tinoco of the Marlins was placed on the 15-day IL with a lower back strain. He was my pick for the closer in Miami, and that did not play out well. I mean, just right from the outset, he just was not looking good, didn't get save opportunities, and then quickly to the IL. I don't expect Tinoco to be out more than 2 weeks, but I think that's more than enough time for one of the other two guys, Anthony Bender or Calvin Fauché, to take over that role.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Fauché the way he's pitched and just the usage he's getting. It's not reminiscent of a closer at all. So it looks like Bender's already kind of worked his way into the closer role in Miami. A lot quicker than I thought it was going to be, but he feels like he's the right guy. So I'm thinking I don't hate having him as like a 15-teamer, but on a 12-teamer, I don't think we need to chase Anthony Bender yet, unless you're really desperate for saves, which you could be depending on how your draft went. And if you have a David Bednar and you didn't get Dennis Santana. So
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Bender's the most talented reliever in that bullpen probably right now. So I'm happy that he's in the role, and we can talk about him a little bit more as the closer.
Totally. Yeah. If everybody remembers, he had a pretty good start to his career in 2021, 2.79 ERA across 61 and a third innings. He also got a trio of saves and was the club's closer to start the following season. But then I think he was shut down with injuries and missed the rest of the season, only through 19 innings. Yeah. But this is a guy that has the potential to be the closer here in Miami for quite some time, or at least for the rest of the season. But yeah, I don't know if the Marlins are going to be getting enough wins to make him, like you said, rosterable in standard leagues, but definitely worth the watch. It seems pretty clear that he's the closer. Fauché pitched the 8th last night.
Yeah, I believe so.
And he allowed like 3 runs.
Something. He hasn't looked good. He didn't look good in the spring. He hasn't looked good so far. I don't think Fauché is a factor at this point. So when Tinoco comes back, has Bender done enough to win that role? That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Before I go spending a lot of fab on him or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. I'd be surprised if he's unable to claim that or lock it down, at least until Tinoco comes back. I mean, Tinoco would still have to do something when he comes back to at least put his name back in the cards there. No,
he wasn't looking great either. So
yeah. All right, let's move over to our transactions and we can discuss the aforementioned David Bednar, who was optioned to the minors surprisingly just a couple of days ago by the Pirates. It looks pretty clear who's going to be the closer in his stead, but I don't understand why they did. I mean, I understand why they did this. I don't think it was the right choice. I mean, I think Colin Holderman might have allowed more runs than Bednar did during the first few games of the season, but I don't understand. Why wouldn't you just let him figure it out in the seventh inning? It's not like
Right.
you're destroying his mental health here, where now he thinks he's not even good enough to play on the major league team. Now he's got to figure things out in the minors. At least just take him out of the closer role, let him figure things out in the majors. But now he's got this whole mental thing he's going to have to work through.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, he threw 34 pitches this season before. Like that's just like a great. Like no, even if you're a starter, like you're getting more than 34 pitches before there's a decision made on
Emerson Hancock got more than 34 pitches.
Yeah. I've been saying, like Devin Williams, it took him 35 pitches to get his first save of the year. It took, the Josh Hader 36 to get his first save. So it's like, I understand that he the losses, they were not all his fault, to be fair, but I don't know. I'm not totally. I think you can drop Bednar. You don't have to hold on to him at this point. But I'm not totally like ruling him out, figuring things out, because I think we talked about his issues earlier, and he's gonna have to find a way to command, at least get his curveball over for strikes, or the splitter. One of the two he needs to get over for strikes just to keep hitters honest. That's been his issue, and I guess I get going down to AAA where it's lower stakes, but yeah, I kind of agree. Like just push him to the sixth or seventh inning, and lower leverage when you're down, because the Pirates are going to be down in the sixth, seventh inning when anyone but Paul Skeens is pitching, probably. So there's going to be opportunities for Bednar to work his way out of the thing, in the major leagues, and I don't know. I would think that that's the best place. Yeah, and you'd think you have your best staff there to work with him. The best data analysis team to work with him. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but it's an interesting. There's been I don't think I haven't heard anything on like how long they're expecting him to be down for, or what the plan is for him, but I hope he gets things worked out, because I like Dennis Santana. Then he can be really good in that role. But I would like to see Bednar back, and just getting his command under control be a huge part for him.
Totally. Yeah. Dennis Santana looking like, or almost confirmed, all but confirmed that he is the closer with Bednar in the minor leagues. Last year, Dennis Santana pitched for the Pirates in the second half, 44 and a third innings, 2.44 ERA, got his strikeout rate up to 29.1%. That's after it was below 17% with the Yankees. So he's definitely got some potential. He's got the closer role. It doesn't look like Colin Holderman's done enough to push him out, or at least challenge him for that role. So until Bednar comes back, I don't see any reason to not have Dennis Santana rostered universally.
Yeah, the only other thing they might, and it's going to be a topic we bring up later, or I'm hoping to bring up, about how there might be a way where they kind of have a split committee with Santana and like Ryan Baruchi, who's been pitching really well, and he'll be the left-handed guy they go to in the eighth or the ninth. But other than that, I feel like Santana's at least in a higher leverage spot than Holderman right now can't be trusted. Holderman's been like the worst reliever in the league as far as blown saves go. So he probably should go down to AAA too. I don't know. It's something to look for. I mean, Santana hasn't had the same kind of pop that he's had like last year towards the end of the year, but I'm still intrigued by Santana's upside.
Like in terms of velo?
Yeah, I think his velo's been down a little bit, and just like the swing and miss stuff wasn't there in the spring. It hasn't been there, so it's been obviously like a week, but it's just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up his game from yesterday to see exactly what his velo was at. Just about there. Looks like Santana was sitting on the fastball 95, which was 0.3 down from last year. So do you remember if his velo went up when he went to the Pirates, or if it stayed the same from
I think Yankees? It had gone up, but I'm not sure. It's something to probably keep an eye on.
Yeah.
but yeah, there's not a ton of options there unless they want to trust one of the lefties. Baruki's not really a closer.
No, that's why I liked Bednar so much, because I felt like Bednar and Romano were like the same guy coming off rough seasons, really have to prove it this year. And Romano had so much competition and Bednar no competition. I thought, oh, no problem. Even if Bednar struggles early on, he'll at least be able to get the roll back pretty early, but doesn't seem to be the case right now. Hey, Justin Lawrence season though.
Maybe he's working his way into. Let's get him to go a couple outings without allowing a run first. And then
yes, I think that'd be a good start. All right, let's move over to our final transaction as we discuss Adam Ottavino, who signed with the Yankees. They made this move official when they placed Devin Williams on the paternity list, so he was immediately thrust into game action. So clearly Ottavino game ready while pitching on his own. So he'll head to the Yankees. This is his second stint with the Yankees?
At least second, yeah.
Yeah. I don't expect him to be somebody who's factoring into holds, but do you have any love for Ottavino?
As far as holds leagues go, no. I think he's just, the Yankees are kind of thin in their bullpen right now. They got some guys injured on the IL, so I feel like he's just kind of more of a placeholder. He might stick around for more than like a month or two, but I don't know if he's like a full season replacement either. So yeah, I'm not counting on him. I mean, the Red Sox could have, if you look at the back end of the Red Sox bullpen, they could have used, if Ottavino was still worth, rostering, they would have kept him. So yeah, I'm not too amped for Ottavino in New York.
All right. Well, that will wrap up our news, injuries, and transactions from the past week. Next, we'll head into our 3 up, 3 down section. But first, we're going to take a quick break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relievers. We're heading into our 3 up, 3 down section. First time this year as we discuss the closers rising and falling on Rick's ranks. So let's start it off with the risers. Our first one is Robert Suarez. I think this one's pretty obvious why he's rising. But Rick, why don't you go ahead and tell us why you're bumping Robert Suarez up your closer ranks?
Yeah, I think it's week 1, so it's hard to, really get a feel for who's rising or who's like better than, who deserves a huge bump. But I think Suarez, just we get a sense of his pitch usage and how it's going to be this year. And that's a big difference from last year, because it's something he talked about this offseason about using the changeup more. And now we're seeing it actually happen in real life. So I think as long as that changeup fastball usage is around 50-50 to 60-40, I feel like Suarez should be in for a good year. Again, the changeup's it's not Devin Williams' changeup. He's not going to get a ton of whiffs on it, but he can't be throwing 80% fastballs. Essentially, when he's probably going to lose a little velo. He's getting up there in age. He's had injury history, pretty extensive injury history. So having that second pitch, that changeup's really makes me feel more comfortable rostering him and pushing him up the ranks.
Yeah, we were pretty down on Robert Suarez in the offseason. As you mentioned, he was a guy who relied solely on the fastball. And if that pitch had any diminishment entering this season, then he was in for even more regression than he was already due for. So the implementation or re-implementation of that changeup was integral for Suarez to find success this year, have success against lefties. And like you said, keep both righties and lefties off balance, off that heater, off the fastball and the sinker. So Suarez also had all that competition there too with Jason Adam and Jeremiah Estrada. So it felt like if he stumbles early on, it's going to be pretty quick that he's going to get the boot out of the closer role. But he's done everything we've asked earlier in the season to solidify his hold of the closer role. So Robert Suarez rising up the closer ranks. Next, we'll discuss Ryan Helsley, closer for the Cardinals. He's rising up your closer ranks. This one less clear to me. Please explain why Helsley is climbing.
I had a little bit of because of again, another guy with extensive injury history, and he had his velo was down in the spring, and it was we thought, or it was told to us that his velo is down because he's just typical spring closers. They don't throw 100%, but it's still a little bit worrisome with him going into a contract year and whatnot. But his velo looks great so far, getting a ton of strikeouts. So The only concern I have with him over the course of the season is if he gets traded. But the Cardinals look like a team that might stick around for a little bit. Maybe they don't end up being sellers. Obviously, the rotation is the big question mark there. But I mean, Helsley looks good. So I think he was never going to be outside of the top 10, but he's like firmly inside the top 10 for me for now.
Yeah, I don't think we had any questions about his skills in the offseason. We didn't feel that Helsley was going to come in this season and pitch dramatically worse. It was really just that he was being pumped up so highly in drafts because of how many saves he recorded last year, and the value you were getting in drafts was really not tantamount.
That, and I also had like concerns of getting just like how are they going to get the ball to him, because the rotation's not great, and then I wasn't sure what Phil Matone they were going to get. They're getting, Phil Matone looks really good right now. But like before, we saw that, I was, the rest of the bullpen's kind of, looking pretty bad. And then just the rotation, like they're going to have a hard time getting the ball to the ninth this year. I know they did it last year, but it was when they had Andrew Kittredge, that was a huge piece for them. Even, he was a little bit lucky last year, but Kittredge's numbers were still great. So, but yeah, so far so good for Helsley.
Yeah, well, no concerns there with Ryan Helsley. The last riser we'll discuss is Aroldis Chapman, new closer for the Red Sox. Are you just moving him up because we've basically got confirmation that he's the closer, or is it that plus a combination of guys moving down?
Yeah, it's a little combination of both. But it definitely helps that Chapman's, gotten a couple. He got one save, at least one save. And Slayton didn't pitch well his last outing, and you got nickel and dimed. It was a lot of, as Nick likes to say, he got singled out. But I do think that Chapman, it's just the confirmation that he is going to be at least their primary closer, and he still has nasty stuff. He's still going to get a ton of strikeouts. He's going to wreck your whip every now and then, but other than that, he's still a really good pitcher, and he's going to help you get saves, strikeouts, and probably won't destroy your ERA. So I'm Chapman, for someone who never really moved up the draft ranks that much this offseason, he kind of, I don't think his high, even towards the end of draft season, he was still in the like mid 250s or 200s. So I think he's going to be a good value for people who took a chance on him.
All right, that's Aroldis Chapman of the Boston Red Sox. And so as those three guys rise, we have to make room for them by dropping three others down the ranks. I think you have a note here. Jordan Romano, Dave Bednar, pretty obvious. So yeah, I would agree with that.
We'll talk more about those situations. Well, we talked about Bednar. We'll talk more about the Phillies. But yeah, Romano and Bednar just... Yeah, that's tough if you drafted them. And I was on the Romano train, and then you were on the Bednar train. So it's like, yeah, I wasn't expecting Romano to right out of the gate not even get a save chance, or they use him in a hold situation opening day. So, oh well, we move on. It was just those mid round closers, you're gonna miss on some. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Totally. All right. Well, let's start with our first dropper as Yohan Duran has fallen down the ranks. Classic Rocco Baldelli beginning to the season using Duran just all willy-nilly, just throw him whenever. You're losing. It's the seventh inning. Who cares? It's Yohan Duran time. Why? You probably have a more articulate reason for why Duran's fallen.
No, it's going to be really frustrating to roster him until Baldelli's not the manager there. It was similar to like Munoz in Seattle. But yeah, it's like that first outing. It's the second game of the year. Like, I understand if Duran needs work, but why would he need work in the second game of the year? Like, why not wait? You have games the next 3 days. Like, so just weird usage. It's continuing. It's been a theme with Duran and Rocco Baldelli and the Twins. It's like, and again, it's the war weekend. So like these guys being on the down list, these next three are not really, they're just like, it's just kind of frustrating from like week one standard, but I'm not dropping you on Duran because of what happened, or the Twins won't be this bad. They're gonna get some wins this year. Duran will close them out, so he should be fine. It's just more frustration with that usage from Baldelli. It's like, I know he needs work, but you don't need to just jam him into spot in the seventh or eighth inning when you're down by 6 runs. It's like what it just doesn't make sense. It's weird.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if it's more or less frustrating that it's something that we sort of expect. Like, I think if somebody else was used to like this, a closer that we expected to be only closing was used how Baldelli uses Duran, I think would be really frustrated and really confused. But I think with Duran, it's like, oh, they do this every year. And I don't know if that's also frustrating in a different way of like, come on, like it doesn't work. It never works. His ERA 6.75. I know it's like it's been a week, but why are we doing this?
He's like a notorious like bad pitcher in non-safe situations too. It's like we know like there's numbers that like prove that I get that's a real thing, I think, because like guys get ready differently when it's a safe situation. Like when the Twins are up by like 2 or 3 runs in the 7th inning, Duran starts getting, he starts his, warm-ups, he starts to get ready. So like it's different when he's like, oh, you got to go in the 8th inning when we're down by 5. Like he's not ready for that. So
yeah.
On
top of that, even when they are winning, it's like they have Griffin Jack, so they're gonna play games too, and sometimes use Jacks in the 9th and Duran in the 8th. It doesn't whoever they view as their high leverage arm is going to get the high leverage situation. So it's going to be frustrating all year long with Yohan Duran. He's definitely most likely going to lead that team in saves unless this really gets to his head. But I don't think he's going to be a guy that is like top 5 closer where you're never have to worry about them at all.
No, not as long as the team is the way it is now, and with Rocco running it, I don't see that. Yeah, it's going to be frustrating. So just keep that in mind when you're dealing with him on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah. All right. Our next faller is Ryan Walker of the Giants. This one makes a lot of sense. Walker is the closer for the Giants, but I think there is a little bit of uncertainty with how long he can hold the role, with how well Camilo Doval has pitched to start the year, as well as Walker landing on, or at least dealing with an injury for a couple of days. And that also saw Doval step up to be the closer. And so I think with Doval performing well, we might soon see somebody like Walker lose that closer role just because the Giants, feel more confident with Doval in the 9th. He's just that electric. So I could see something changing. I don't know. Have you seen anything different with Walker?
I don't think right now there's no reason to panic. So again, this is week 1. So I'm just trying to find like things to talk about. But just that the day he missed that one save opportunity because of the back issue. So there's 2 things. You open the door for Doval to, have to convert a save pretty easy fashion. And he's dealing with some sort of back issue that we're hoping is just minor. He's been able to pitch since then, so it seems like it's a minor issue. But just like the Doval is one of those guys who is, you don't really want to open the door for him because if he's pitching, he's been pretty great so far. If he continues this, keep opening that door for Doval, maybe he sneaks back into the closer role where, again, like we talked about how Buster Posey's now running operations there, and that Doval and Posey go back to Posey's playing days. So who knows? I think it's just something to keep an eye on, and maybe not now, but start thinking if you do roster Walker, maybe it's at some point you're going to think about stashing Doval just in case there is some sort of change over there.
Yeah, I was going to suggest a spec ad too. I really think that in a lot of leagues, I don't think rostering Doval right now, while he doesn't have a clear role, is a bad idea. I think even in, head-to-head standard leagues, he's a guy that can be rostered because he's pitching so well that the ratios and strikeouts are going to be good, where he's one of those elite setup guys. And then he's also, I think, going to be getting more saves than those elite setup guys because the closer in front of him isn't as solidified as other closers. So I think there is a reason to roster Doval in the majority of the leagues right now, given also the future potential that he is the closer throughout the season, which would make rostering him well worth your while at this point. Our last faller is Bo Brieske of the Tigers. Really sucks. I was huge on Bo Brieske to start the season. I mean, a lot of guys that I was in on to start the season have really not had a good start. Brieske, Tinoco, Bednar. But yeah, not a great start. He's got a 16.88 ERA so far, already got a loss and a blown save, and has already set up for Tommy Kahnle to lock down a save. Do you think Tommy Kahnle's the closer moving forward? Do you think Brieske can reclaim this or sort of get some more confidence back with his manager?
I don't think it's still I'm still in the boat that it's going to be a committee all year round. I don't think Tommy Kahnle getting the first save, I don't think that means anything. They're going to be matchup based committee. This bullpen is. I think that's how it's going to play out. So that hurts Brieske. It's like, yeah, he had a bad out against the Dodgers, but like, who isn't having bad outings against the Dodgers right now? So I'm not too worried about him himself, the pitcher himself. It's just the usage, and like, I don't think if there was going to be one guy, it was going to be maybe Brieske would end up being like the closer there. I just Tommy Kahnle throwing 93% changeups. I can't. There's no way a guy throwing 93% changeups is going to be a closer for a major league team. I don't know. It's just I can't see it lasting. The Tigers are going to be a committee, matchup based bullpen. I think Tyler Holton's going to get 5 to 10 saves. Brieske probably gets in there too. Will Vest also probably. So it's just no one's worth chasing in the Detroit bullpen right now.
All right, that is unfortunate, but that will wrap up our 3 up, 3 down section. To recap, our risers were Robert Suarez, Ryan Helsley, and Aroldis Chapman, and our fallers were Yohan Duran, Ryan Walker, and Bo Brieske. Now we'll enter into our main topic to discuss our season predictions, but first, Rick?
Well, it's just an interesting observation from the first week of games is that a lot of teams are starting. I don't want to call them committees, but we're starting to kind of see the left-handed closer make a comeback, and I think that's because there's a lot of good left-handed relievers, but B, teams are a little bit more comfortable with using mixing and matching in the 8th inning, and going based choosing guys to pitch based off lineup pockets and leverage situations more so than 8th inning, 9th inning. So what I mean is Jose Alvarado is getting the high leverage. He's getting the middle of the order from the opposing team, and Jordan Romano is getting, the bottom of the order. That's how the Phillies are deciding who pitches the 8th or the 9th. And I think similar things are happening in with the Dodgers. Tanner Scott came into the 8th inning this weekend, and Blake Treinen got the save. And I think that was because Scott faced 2 lefties in the 9th or in the 8th, and Treinen got some righties in the 9th inning. So it's, I think that's how Arizona, AJ Puck's getting the 9th. I still think, and I love that Puck's getting the 9th, but I still think that they're going to use Martinez in the 9th as well, depending on matchups. Because if Shohei Ohtani, if they're facing the Dodgers, which they play the Dodgers a ton, they're in their division. If Ohtani's up in the, if it's Ohtani and Freeman coming up in the 8th inning, Puck's going to go in the 8th inning, not Justin Martinez. So, the Red Sox are doing it. There's a bunch of other teams who could do it. The Rangers should be doing it. We talked about that. Robert Garcia is your best reliever. If you don't want to use Chris Martin as the closer because he doesn't want to be the closer or whatever. But, I feel like the left-handed closer is kind of making a comeback, and something not to sleep on right now because there's going to be a lot of lefties getting saves this year, I feel.
All right. Don't write guys off just because they are southpaws.
It's been a thing we've done, and we've done it, and other people have done it, and it's fair because a lot of managers do have that biasy, but I feel like it's kind of coming to an end. Yeah.
That's great to hear. You did mention AJ Puck, and we don't really have a clear section to talk about him in depth, but I would love to take that opportunity right now because we had been waiting all offseason to see how this bullpen would be used. And then obviously on our first podcast, the Diamondbacks played after we recorded, so we didn't really get to discuss the usage there, even though there wasn't any closer usage. So, and it's been really interesting across the past week since I'm doing first pitch. I'm seeing all these, bullpen usages as they come in. So 2 nights ago on Tuesday, Justin Martinez pitched the 8th. It was against the 3-4-5. And then Puck pitched the 9th against 3 lefties. So it was perfect. And I remember talking about that on first pitch and being like, there is nothing to read here. You can't take anything from this. Puck pitched the ninth. He allowed a run. He faced 3 lefties. Like Justin Martinez was electric and faced the middle of the order. Like both of those guys equal. And then last night they gave Martinez the night off because he'd gone three of the last 4. And then Puck goes back to back and gets the save, but he allows another run. So I'm like, dang, come on. Can you just like lock in, man? Lock in. You finally got the opportunity. You're giving up runs for the first time in, I don't know, a year. Dude did not give up runs last year.
To be fair, that home run last night was not, I can't say the words on Nick's podcast or Nick's format, but like it was a pop-up. It was a Yankee Stadium classic. It had an X batting average, XBA of .060. It should have been, it would have been caught in any other ballpark. So I don't really blame that home run too much on Puck, and he had some runs to work with. So I feel like I'm still not 100% ready to call that. I feel like it's still going to be probably matchup based, because that's what they should do. That's what makes sense. You have an electric right-handed flamethrower who is going to get pretty much everyone out, and then you have Puck who's going to be really tough on lefties. It's just, it makes sense for them to use that type of committee. But yeah, we'll still see. We're going to need another week with Arizona before we can. It's still too close to call in my opinion, unless we can never call it, and it's just a matchup based committee.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably more likely considering the talent that they have there. But let's enter into our main topic. Last week we talked so much about the stuff that was happening on opening day that we didn't even have a chance to discuss our season predictions. We do this every year, and I know we're like a week into the season, so it's sort of like cheating a little bit, but we're going to go through, try to predict who's going to lead each team in saves, and then we'll attempt to determine who's going to be the awards winners in relief pitchers. You ready, Rick?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's start in the AL East, starting with Baltimore. Who leads the Baltimore Orioles in saves in 2025?
I think I know Felix has looked a little sluggish so far, but the velo's getting, it's still rising from where he started in the spring. He's sitting like 98 now. The command still has a little ways to go, but like we have talked about, it's once May comes around, I think that's when you see Bautista hit his stride, and he'll be dominant. So as long as he doesn't lose the role, and he's done nothing to lose the role so far, in April, I feel like I think Bautista is going to be the guy there.
All right, I'm going to have to agree with you there. Bautista's on my home league team, so I sort of have to be rooting for him. If I chose somebody else in here, I think I would have to question my entire draft strategy. But I think I'm going to have to go with Felix Bautista too. I'm really excited to see him get going and really start to just obliterate batters with his 100-mile-per-hour fastball. Next, we'll go to the Boston Red Sox. I think right now Chapman is the clear choice, but do you have a different choice that you would go with here? I know it was probably a week ago. It was probably maybe a little more up in the air, but what do you think? Now?
I think I'll go with Chapman still. I do have my concerns because he'll have those, as long as he doesn't put together a streak of outings where he's allowing like multiple walks and whatnot. I think he'll be fine. I'm not worried about Slayton. He'll be fine too, but I think the way that the usage will break down is Chapman will get probably 60 to 70% of the saves. Slayton and/or Whitlock will get like the rest of them, because Whitlock's kind of factoring into that multi-inning relief role where I don't know. I feel like they're going to want to use him in 2-inning spurts. That's what they've said. So I don't think Whitlock can be the closer, but he's going to get saves here and there.
Mm-hmm. I think with Hendricks on the IL, that Slayton is sort of forced into a high leverage role where he is sort of needed whenever they have a big inning coming up, because he is their top righty right now. And I don't think, as you mentioned, they want to use Garrett Whitlock in multi-inning stints. So if it's the 8th inning and it's bunch of righties in the 8th inning, but it's the middle of the lineup, I think they're going Justin Slayton and not Chapman. So I think that makes sense that Chapman's probably going to lead this team in saves, but I think Slayton's going to be held out of a lot of closing situations because he's going to be needed earlier in games with Hendricks on the IL.
For sure.
All right.
Joel Payamps is getting the close. Oh, McGill pitched the last 2 days, so that's why Joel Payamps is closing. All right, that's annoying.
That's correct.
First save chance for the Brewers, and it goes to Payamps.
Classic.
Oh
All
well.
right, let's head to the Yankees. I think their big offseason acquisition, Devin Williams, is the clear choice here. I know he's been on the paternity list the last couple of days, but pretty clear choice. You going with Devin Williams in the for the Yankees?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy one. As long as he's healthy,
Yeah.
he's the guy there. So yeah, Williams all day.
Yeah, health is definitely I think the only factor here that would push him out of that role. I don't know how badly he would have to pitch, and I can't even imagine Devin Williams pitching so terribly that they remove him from the closer role. So yeah, I am going to have to agree. Devin Williams likely to lead the Yankees in saves this year. Next, we'll move over to the Rays. I think this one is going to be a little bit exciting. Pete Fairbanks has been the team's leader in saves for the last 3 years. Who are you going with this year?
I mean, common sense logic tells you to go Pete Fairbanks. I'm gonna go with Pete Fairbanks, but I just Mason Montgomery might. That's the caveat. It depends on how long Fairbanks is on the roster, and that means either being on the roster healthy or being on the roster he hasn't been traded. Because I feel like we're gonna see Fairbanks on the IL at some point. And Montgomery has been getting all signs point to Montgomery being that 8th inning, that next in line guy for them. So, they like Uceta in that multi-inning role where they can use him in the 6th, the 7th, 8th, wherever. I don't think Uceta is the next guy there. I think it's their lefty who throws 102 miles per hour all of a sudden. So yeah, Fairbanks has been fine so far. He hasn't done anything to lose the role, but I mean, yeah, that's more of a question mark than I thought it would be, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I think I would want to go with Uceta here, but maybe I'm biased because I have him on my fantasy teams. But I think Fairbanks probably the right choice, but you're definitely on the right track suggesting, I mean, he's got such a long history of injuries, and last year he wasn't super incredible when he was on the mound. And like you mentioned, he is definitely a guy who's an option to be traded. And Mason Montgomery, I haven't gotten to watch him pitch, but just seeing a lefty that can throw 100 is pretty incredible. So
with like 20 inches of IVB too. It's like, really? I don't even know. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't make sense.
I need to see that.
Yeah.
I need to see a picture of that to believe it. That's crazy.
He hasn't gotten a save, or he might have one hold, but yeah, wow. It's still been electric from him. And like last year, he was fun because it's like, oh, he's throwing 97, 98, and now it's concerning me because like when those guys see those huge velo jumps, I'm like,
then the arm falls off.
I know what's coming around the corner, but until the arm falls off, until he inevitably gets Tommy John like everyone else in that and the pitching staff in Tampa Bay.
It's the goal.
Let's ride. Yeah, I'm going to ride Montgomery. I think I picked him up in standard leagues. I think he's just going to be a force when it comes to ratios, strikeouts. He's going to help pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, the Rays pitching strategy is like, all right, just go out there, see if you can throw so hard that your elbow explodes. And, and Mason Montgomery is like, hold my beer, watch this. 102.
Just get your arm can explode after you sign a contract like Robert Stevenson did. So just, I don't know. Montgomery's got a while to go though. So we'll see if he pulls it back a little bit. But even if he does, like, even if he's in the upper 90s, he's still really good. It's basically unhittable. So yeah, we're looking forward to him being the closer eventually.
Yes. All right. Let's wrap up the AL East with the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm going to go with Jeff Hoffman here. He already got 3 saves to Yimi Garcia's 1. I am really proud of how much I pumped Yimi Garcia up this season because he's looking really good. He's getting all the excess save opportunities as well. Tons of holds. He's going to get tons of holds. So I think he's going to be worth rostering everywhere. But Hoffman clearly being used as the closer in Toronto.
Yeah, I'll say Hoffman leads them in saves too. But I still think Garcia's in line for. He's got 1. I mean, he could easily get 5 to like 10. So, and then I mean, Hoffman, there's injury concerns there too. So maybe he misses a week or 2. And Garcia gets a couple more. So definitely not the worst one. Garcia's not the worst guy to roster in a standard league at this point.
Totally. All right, let's move to the AL Central and start with the White Sox. Uh, the thing with the White Sox is that, yeah, they have a closer, and this is like a clear opportunity to be like, I'm going to go off the beaten path and choose this guy, but this is the wrong team to do that with.
Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna say Clevenger gets the most saves here, but no one has a save yet for them. So, well, it's still kind of up in the air. But there's been a lot of. I mean, the only other guy would be if we're talking if that trend. I feel like it might become a trendy thing where you have the lefty righty combo in the 8th and 9th, and maybe Fraser Ellard becomes that lefty for them. He's kind of got some interesting stuff. I mean, the rest of this bullpen's very, it's nothing to get excited about. So, I'll say Clevenger leads this team in saves, but Ellard's someone. I mean, you're not rostering him, but just an interesting name, I guess, to keep in the back of your head. I don't know.
Yeah. I do not want to pick Clevenger, but also I don't want my name tied to any of the other guys in this bullpen. So I'll just go with Clevenger, not because I like him, but just because he's labeled closer, is likely to get the most saves. So we'll just move on from there. Go to the Guardians, where I think it's pretty clear Emmanuel Clase is going to lead the Guardians in saves. However, Paul Sewald is leading the team in saves right now.
That's right, with his 7.71 ERA. But yeah, I think Clase is safe. I'm not worried about him yet. I'm gonna say I'm not worried about him until he's like demoted or something, because I just like he's the track record's there for Clase where we know he can bounce back. He probably will bounce back. So Clase is my choice as well.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that Jonathan India at bat doesn't like mess up his mental aptitude for handling the ninth inning. They threw him outside of a save situation 3 days after that, and I said on first pitch like, they could be doing this just to be like, hey, let's just see what you look like when you go out there. Can you avoid people's faces?
Maybe, yeah, I know that was that whole situation's weird because Clase, that was only his 6th hit batter in his career.
And then he was like, he didn't regret it.
Is that what he said?
He said something like, well, he shouldn't have celebrated like he did the night before.
Really? I didn't know. I know there was like some.
I mean, hey, I could be being April Fool's right now, so you never know.
I don't know. Maybe. I know there was a little bit of an interesting tie back to something that happened last year as well, where the last guy Clase hit was what's his name? Some outfielder for the Reds. He hit him after India had got an RBI single off of him, and then he hit the next guy in the head. So I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, like he doesn't. His command's perfect. He has a walk rate of 2. Yeah. But when he does hit somebody, he hits them in the face.
It's so messed up. I should not be laughing. That's crazy. He's got beautiful pinpoint command. He's just like, oh no, that one slipped.
Sudden, yeah, not to mention,
that one slipped.
There were the pitch before that hit India. I mean, that was pretty close too, and it registered as a 4-seamer. I don't know. Interesting. It's interesting, but
he changed his grip on the pitch so he could make it straighter. That's unreal. Wow, Clase. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow.
He'll be fine.
Okay.
Might be a little bit of a head case, but he'll be fine.
All right, we'll move over to the Tigers, where Tommy Kahnle and Brant Herter are currently leading the team in saves. I'm going to double down. I'm going Bo Brieske, going to lead the team in saves. It's going to be like 13 or something, probably less than that. Who do you got?
This is the real test right here. If one of us picks this one right, I feel like that's...
We get a promotion.
Since you said Brieske, I'm not going to say him.
Good.
It's not going to be Tommy Kahnle either. So I'm torn between Holton or Will Vest, and I'll go with Will Vest because I don't know why not. We haven't really talked about him. I feel like Holton they like to use in all sorts of situations. Again, like if you're talking like stuff wise, it's Vest and Brieske are the two, classic righties who throw hard. But you said Brieske, so I'm gonna go with Vest, who's gotten off to a little bit better start this year. A lot of strikeouts. His velo's been high. It's been up. It's 97.6 right now for Vest. I feel like that's higher than usual for him. So maybe he can keep those gains.
All right. Will Vest and Bo Brieske for the Tigers. Next, we'll talk about the Royals. Right now, it looks like to be a co-closer situation, though. Carlos Estevez is the only one to get a save so far. I'll let you go
Yeah,
first. Who do you want?
yeah. I think I don't know why. Yeah, Fangraphs still has it as co-closer. I mean, Estevez has the job, and I'll probably say he gets the most saves, but it's going to be like 20. He's not going to get to like he's not going to get to 30. Because there's just too many good options here. Like Hunter Harvey's look pretty good, or obviously Ursig's great. So if Estevez continues to struggle, I don't say he continues to struggle, but if he does struggle, I mean, the outing the other day was kind of ugly, but he got out of it still. So um, if Estevez does struggle, they'll quickly move to Ursig or Harvey. So Estevez gets the saves lead, but I don't know if who in the second half you might want someone else other than Carlos Estevez.
Yeah, I'm sort of on the same vein there, but I think I'm gonna go with Urseg just because
Yeah.
I mean I've never been super big on Estevez. Obviously, when he first left Colorado, there was that just excitement about what could be, but now
Right.
we know what is, and it's not super exciting. I mean,
It's
he's used in the closer role, and that's really all there is to get excited about Estevez. So I'm gonna go with Urseg. I like his stuff more, former A, so I'm gonna you know root for him throughout the
I,
year.
yeah, I think the usage for Ursig so far has been interesting. It's definitely not setup usage. He's been like he's their fireman. It's been more fireman usage
Okay.
for Ursig. So the role they didn't want to take him out of last year, but they felt they needed to towards the end of the season. So it might be hard. They might be hard pressed to just move Ursig out of that fireman role, unless Estevez is really that bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, definitely something worth watching. We'll wrap up the AL Central with the Twins. Yohan Duran has been the team leader in saves for a few years in a row now. Do you expect that to continue in 2025? I can
Yeah,
let you go ahead.
no, it's still going to be Duran. I know Jax will mix in, probably get close to 10 saves as well, but Duran should get 20 or so as long as he's healthy and Baldelli's not completely lost his mind.
Yeah, well, hard to be sure of that yet. So Yohan Duran, I think I'm going to go with as well. Probably going to be the closer throughout the season, though. As we discussed at the top of the show, there's going to be a lot of headaches with his usage throughout the season. Next, we'll go to the AL West and discuss the Athletics. I think it's pretty clear. Mason Miller going to lead this team in saves, the electric right-hander, flamethrower. Do you agree?
Yeah, none. Oh, he's got one save so far, so he's on the board. But yeah, he should be the guy there. Leclerc hasn't looked great. Just thinking about the A's bullpen, we haven't talked about that much. Leclerc hasn't looked great. I think Tyler Ferguson might be the next guy in line until Otonez comes back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I feel like Miller should be healthy as long as he's healthy and throwing 100, he'll be their saves leader.
All right. I'm going to have to agree with that. Next we'll move over to the Astros, where Josh Hader is the clear-cut closer there, and I think there's no reason to believe that he's not going to once again lead this team in saves.
Yeah, the first outing was a little dicey. Looked better today. Yeah, I feel like there's no competition here outside of Brian Abreu anyway, so it's pretty easy for Hader to lead this team in saves. Question is, what happens if Hader goes down, and
Mm-hmm.
does Abreu become their closer, or is he too valuable? Because I don't know how you can trust. I don't know. I guess there's guys that are you can trust, kind of like Taylor Scott and Steven Okert, but I don't know. This is a dicey bullpen for me.
Yeah, it used to be so deep. It's crazy
Yeah.
where we are now with the state of that Astros bullpen. Next, we got the Angels. Kenley Jansen is the closer there, but we've seen three different guys get saves thus far. Ryan Zefferjon and Ryan Johnson both getting saves. I was so glad to see Ryan Johnson get a save in that game because his debut was just
Yeah.
so unfortunate after he was such a great story at the end of the offseason when he made the roster, and then it was like, boom, 4 runs by the White Sox. You suck. And then it was like, okay, yeah, someone's got to help him out. So get him in that save in his second outing was really cool. I don't think these other guys are going to factor in. The Angels look like they're going to have a lot of save opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of low scoring, close games for them. Johnson, yeah, he's been put into some tough situations, whether it's that White Sox beat down, or then like couple extra inning games against the Cardinals. It's like
Yeah.
he's just been thrown into the fire, and he's held his own since that White Sox game. So yeah, it's funny to see him get a save already. Zephyr John too. That was another extra innings thing. But Zephyr John's really good. I'm really bummed that the Red Sox traded him for Luis Garcia last year. Dumb trade. And then Ben Joyce is obviously going to get the ball to Jansen, who, I mean the Angels are playing pretty well right now, and Jansen, all he wants to do is close games, so he should be closing out games for them all year round. It's easy. Yeah, Jansen gets the save leads there.
Yeah, I agree. And even if he does get traded, like he's still going to be the closer. He's not going to let the Angels trade him unless he's going to be the closer wherever he goes. So Jansen going to lead the Angels in saves this year. Next, we have the Mariners. Andres Munoz, the closer there. I mean, I think he's going to lead baseball in saves. So I'm going to say he leads the Mariners in saves.
He's already got 3. He's on a good pace to do that. Yeah, he looks great this year. The Mariners are using him strictly as a closer finally. Thank you, new management. Munoz easily leads this team in saves.
All right, let's wrap up the AL West with the Rangers. This one should be really interesting. You going with Luke Jackson?
He's already got 3. But no, I don't think he finishes with the most saves in Texas. I would say it's between Martin or Garcia. And I want to know what the deal, like, I really feel like Chris Martin doesn't want to be the closer. I feel like he might have just said that to them, and like he'll fill in here and there if they need him, or maybe they just really want him as that. But they're not even really using him as a fireman. They're just strictly using him in the 8th inning. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like eventually they're going to need Martin to be the closer because he's the best arm they have in that bullpen. But yeah, I would like to see some sort of combination of Martin and Garcia get saves there. And Jackson, if you have 3 righties, I guess that works out too. But yeah, I'm going to say Martin leads this team in saves still. I don't think it's going to be Luke Jackson. But I'm also tempted by Robert Garcia. But for now, Martin.
I would love for it to be Garcia, though. For some reason, Bochy's being so he just will not move off Luke Jackson for some reason. I know it's only been a week, but it's not like that first outing was confidence inducing. And then he was like, no, 3 more save opportunities. Here go 3 more for y'all. Luke Jackson, I think he's probably going to lead the team in saves just because he's going to get a head start. And then by the time they start implementing other guys in, it's going to take them a while to figure out who's going to be the closer. And then once that guy's the closer, he's only got, I don't know what, it's going to be like two months to catch up to Jackson. I think it's going to be close. We'll probably have a lot of guys between 8 and 13, right? Probably three guys that get like, I don't know, 5 to 15 saves.
It reminds me of like, what was it, two years ago when they won the World Series, when, Will Smith got how many saves in the first half. And then by July, it was Will Smith was not even a factor anymore.
It was Leclerc, right?
And then went to Leclerc, but they also brought in Chapman, who kind of factored in a little bit. And so Spores ended up getting the saves in the playoffs. So it's like it could be a similar situation here where Jackson gets saves until July, and then he peters out, which is like the one time Jackson was a closer. That's kind of what happened. He was closing until July or whatnot, and then just fell apart because his stuff's just not that great. And he can't get lefties out. So eventually something's going to happen. And then, then in July, it's going to be like Martin, Garcia, probably mixing in with whoever they acquire at the deadline. So maybe Church gets a bigger role by then. Also, Emiliano Teodo is working in a relief role in AAA. So
wow. Greg Jewett. So, what a genius.
Yeah, he interviewed him 2 years ago, so that's why he loves him. But he was right. Like
he just slipped him $1,000 bill and was just like, "Hey, in 2 years you're a reliever." Got it?
Yeah, right. I mean, but he's at the heart. He's a 2-pitch guy with bad command, so that screams reliever. So hopefully we get to see him. I mean, the fact that they're already kind of transitioning him to a relief role makes me think he'll be up within the next 2 months at the latest.
All right,
he's already 24. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that will wrap up our American League predictions. And before we look at our National League predictions, we're going to take a quick break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relievers. We're moving into the National League as we wrap up our team leaders save predictions. We'll start off with the Braves, where Raisel Iglesias is the closer there, and I think I'm going to choose him. I don't have any reason to believe that he's going to fall off this year. And honestly, I can't pick a singular guy outside of him that would get more saves if he were to falter.
Yeah, I know. This bullpen's a little bit. I've been watching that Dodgers game last night and trying to seeing the Braves try to piece it together to get the ball to Iglesias at the end. And it's like I like Daysbel Hernandez, but I don't know if he's ready for a high leverage role right now, like the 8th inning role there. So, yeah, they feel like they've already lost trust in Aaron Bummer. So yeah, it's Iglesias is going to be the one in the 9th. Who's getting him the ball without Joe Jimenez? I don't know. Could be. I think that the Braves are going to turn it around. They'll be okay. I don't know if they're going to be great, but they'll be better than what they are obviously right now. So, the thing with Iglesias though, his velo was he got it up to 95, I think once, but there wasn't a bat I forget who it was, but like his fastball and changeup were like 1 or 2 miles per hour off. Like they were almost interchangeable. So I mean, he's just a guy like him up in age like that. He's a huge workload in his career, something to keep an eye on. But I'm not too concerned with Iglesias. He should lead that Braves team in saves.
All right. Next, we'll move over to the Marlins, where we've had recent developments that I think has totally changed what we would have said a week ago. A week ago, I would have said Jesus Tinoco, and you wouldn't tell me anything otherwise. Now, I don't see why I wouldn't say Anthony Bender.
Yeah, that's where I'm leaning with Bender too. I'm bending with that doesn't. But it's not going to be Tinoco or Fauché. The only other guy I could mention is Lake Bakar, just because I love that name, and I don't know if it's even pronounced right. But he's got his fastball is very interesting. Shape wise, it's not. He throws it at like 94, but it's got a good, it's like 99 percentile spin, 99 percentile IVB. So, it seems like the Marlins are doing a little bit better. They got a little bit of a pitching lab going on down there. So they've got some interesting, they've had interesting starters for a while, but it's nice to see them developing some of these no-name type guys that they've been able to develop, like Fauché coming out of nowhere last year, Tinoco last year. They got something going on there. So it's they're not the Rays, but it's the names in that Marlins bullpen are worth keeping an eye on based off the improvements we've seen from the rest of this Marlins bullpen.
The front office is from the Rays, so
that's true. That's true. So it kind of is Rays South, even though it's like how many.
I don't know the directions between.
Tampa's a little bit north of Okay. So yeah,
got it. All right. Let's move over to the Mets. I think it's pretty clearly Edwin Diaz is going to lead the Mets in saves throughout this season. I mean, there's other guys there that could step up if he falters, but I mean, they pay Diaz so much to be the closer. He's one of the best closers of his generation. He should be the 9th inning option for the Mets throughout the season.
Yeah, I have no worries. Remember, we were talking about Diaz's velo being like 93 in the spring. He's looked fine so far. He's 97, 98. He'll be fine. Diaz is their closer. He'll end up with the most saves there.
Awesome. Next, we'll move over to the Phillies, where Jose Alvarado has thrown his name into the ring. I think a week ago, all of us, maybe the entire fantasy industry, would have said Jordan Romano, and maybe some people would have said Kirkring. But who are you going with now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jose Alvarado. I don't think Alvarado's like a guy you put in your lineup and expect 30 saves from. But like we talked about, it'll be a little bit of a matchup based committee, but I do feel like just based on there's been 4 games where Alvarado and Romano have kind of pitched, and it seems like Alvarado is going to be the guy to get the toughest outs for them. So I'll go with Alvarado leading them, but Romano's going to still factor in the 10 or so saves. Strom and Kirkering will get in there eventually too. So, but but yeah, Alvarado's my favorite to lead them, and I think he can get to 20 saves as long as he doesn't pitch as bad as he did today. But that's another. Yeah, just keep that command. Just throw strikes, man. Your stuff's so filthy. Just don't
remember 2 years ago when he just like didn't walk anybody for like 2 months.
He did that in the spring, and then up until today he was doing it, and then like his first actual save chance, it's like walks the first guy, goes 3-0 on the second guy. Like, come on, man. I know, like, there's a little bit of a mental aspect to that. It's like, we can't anoint him the closer. As long as he just thinks he's pitching in like the 8th inning, he'll be great. But like, it's like once he knows, it's like once he knows it's a save situation, it's tenses up a little bit. But I hope he got out of it today. He got the save. Hopefully he moves past and like that's behind him now. He got it out of his system. But yeah, I mean, Alvarado needs to be rostered in every league. I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm probably I'll back you up on that sentiment too, of him leading the team in saves. I spent a lot of money on fab money on him
we both did,
last weekend. Yeah. So we're both pretty invested. We talked him up last podcast. So if we were to come in here and then say, yeah, but I don't know if he leads the team in saves, we sound pretty stupid.
Like,
but not doing it just to say exactly. Not doing just that, but also we do both believe that Alvarado will lead the Phillies in saves this season. Now we'll wrap up the NL East with the Washington Nationals. Go ahead.
You go first. I want to see what your take is on this.
I cannot get myself to pick Kyle Finnegan, and like it's more of just like I want to do a fun guy. Kyle Finnegan is, I think, 95% chance probably going to lead this team in saves. There's just something about him and the manager Dave Martinez there. They're best friends or something. Though I would love for something like Jose Ferrer to get an option or get an opportunity in the 9th inning. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, this is another team where I feel like, I feel like you can mix and match your lefty and right. Your top lefty being Ferrer. And either if you want to be, if Finnegan's your top righty or Jorge Lopez is your top righty, it doesn't matter. One of those two guys, you mix and match with Ferrer, that could be a pretty good 8th, 9th inning combo for them. So I'm gonna say Ferrer because I do like that. They're really confident in him. The usage he's seen so far, it's been highest leverage outside of Finnegan being the closer. So. I'm going to say Ferrer. I know he's had a couple speed bumps here, but the strikeout rate's gone up. It went up in the spring as well. Like he's starting to get swings and misses with his nasty stuff. So I'm excited for him. I think, by end of May, June, maybe Ferrer is the go-to closer there in Washington.
Wow. Confidence falling in Kyle Finnegan. What a surprise.
It's my bold prediction. Yeah.
All right. That'll wrap up the NL East. We'll move over to the NL Central, discuss the Chicago Cubs, where Ryan Pressly is the closer, but it's been a little bit shaky. Do you think Pressly will continue to lead this team in saves?
I know it's 4 innings, but just seeing 5% strikeout rate next. What is a 5% strikeout rate? Pressly's stuff, I mean, he looked better his last time out, but the stuff is just it's not getting swings and misses. It's not getting hitters. It's not fooling hitters anymore. Like obviously he's lost velo on his fastball, and I didn't think that would be the biggest difference for him because he's such a secondary first pitcher anyway, his slider and curveball, but that fastball is like not, you can't even like hide it anymore. It's getting destroyed. So I'm leaning towards Hodge leading this team in saves. I think it might not happen this week or next week, but I feel like eventually Hodge is going to win out there just because the overall stuff and is just exceeded where Pressly's at right now.
I think I'm on the same track there with Hodge because, as you mentioned, Pressly not looking too great despite getting the saves. He's not looked dominant at all. Continues to get up there in age. I think we expressed concern in the offseason about I know he's going back to the Cubs, but can he even get back to what he was even 2 years ago with the Astros? And you expressed concern at least a few weeks ago that was even feasible. So I think Pressly probably is going to continue to lead this team in saves, but I would not be surprised if by July or August, Hodge has this role and is getting really close to overtaking him on the saves leaderboard for the team. All right. Next, we got the Cincinnati Reds. We got a lot of A lot of choices here. I'll go first since this one's weird. I mean, Ian Jabot, he's looking pretty. Just kidding.
We've done our Jabot. Yeah.
No more Jabot jokes. Okay.
No more Jabots.
I mean,
Jabokes.
no. I think I want to go Santion. I don't roster him anywhere. And as high as I was in on him in the fall, it definitely dwindled down throughout the spring as they added more guys to this roster. And I started to get concerned with what Terry Francona was going to do. So I'm still going to stick with Tony Santion because now there seems to be a lot more opportunity for him, but it's not the same hype that I had just a few months ago, because I thought he would be able to like start the season as the closer and just run with it and be like a huge, I don't think the huge breakouts incoming, but this could be a step in the right direction for Santion.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too, just because this one's like, I just want to pick Santion because he's the best reliever right now in this bullpen. Part of me is I'm tempted to see what Alexis Diaz looks when he comes back because they're trying to rework his mechanics and maybe like I don't know. It's intriguing, but like it's not. I'm not holding my breath that he comes back being a new guy all of a sudden. So I do think he'll get a chance to close out games when he returns, but I don't know if he'll. Just because they're trying to rework his mechanics, it doesn't mean he's going to be better. It could make him worse. I mean, he could come back and be like all over the place, and it might just not work out at all. So, they want to use. They've been talking. Francona's been mentioning Santion as the fireman for them. But I do wonder if they'll at some point be able to maybe flip him and Ashcraft if he gets more. If Francona gets more confidence in like Ashcraft being a multi-inning fireman type option for them, then maybe they'll feel, they'll be more comfortable with Santillan getting just that one inning at the end of the game. So I'm gonna go with Santillan as well. There's guys in the minors that they have too. It's another team like Texas where they have Zach Maxwell, who's have you seen him? He's like, remember Jonathan Broxton back in the day?
Yeah,
I don't know like 6'5", 290, just like this beast on the mound who throws 100. That's who Zach Maxwell is. So it's a fun guy for them. Who he could, if he closes out games, it will be a fun one to watch. So I don't think he'll be up though. I don't think he'll get enough time in the majors to lead this team in saves. So I'll say Santillan, but I don't think anyone breaks 20, 25 saves here.
Oh yeah, definitely not. All right, next we got the Brewers, and I'm going to just straight up just go Trevor McGill. There's not enough competition here. It's interesting to see Abner Uribe back, but without Craig Yoho in the majors, there's nobody that's going to push McGill out of this role, in my opinion.
Yeah, and next, Joel Pyam's getting the save tonight, but that's, Abner Uribe's look good, and that's a guy we talked about a lot a year ago and then kind of forgot about him, or he went. When did he get sent down last year? He had an injury.
It was pretty early.
Yeah, he's still serving a suspension from I don't know how long ago, or he was serving that suspension from however long ago. So, but he's looked good. He's just a guy if like he's right mentally. I feel like he can be really good. He's probably the best option right now in that bullpen to actually be a threat to McGill. But McGill has been great. I mean, 62.5% strikeout rate. I know it's 3 games, but he's getting swings and misses again, which is great to see. That's the Trevor McGill, we're used to in 2023, early 2024. So, I'm still on Team McGill for Milwaukee.
All right. Next, we got the Pirates, and this one is certainly interesting now with David Bednar in the minors and Dennis Santana closing. Are you going to go with the easy choice and say, well, the guy who's the closer now should probably lead the team in saves? Are you going to go say something crazy like I'm about to?
What are you going to say, David Bednar?
Justin Lawrence.
No. Go. Why Lawrence? I know you've been on this. Yeah.
Have you watched?
I don't hate it. Yeah.
He's just the way that he pitches is unreal. I mean, he's probably not going to be the closer at any point this season. I would love to see him get saves. The only real way I see Justin Lawrence actually leading this team in saves is if like a lot of people's arms fall off. Yeah. And then he's like, hey, look, hey guys, don't forget about me. But his sidearm mid-90s sinker and slider is just unreal. I mean, the gifts that were coming out in Colorado, I couldn't believe that people could touch that stuff. And going to Pittsburgh outside of Coors, I have a feeling he's gonna have some crazy breakout once people start watching him. I'd wish he went to the Rays instead because they love those funky arm slots. But there's a shot, though. I think the real answer should probably be, I'll go Bednar. He's coming back.
You think he comes back?
It's too early. It's too early to.
Yeah, it's. I mean, think about just look at if Dennis Santana, like, what if he has he wakes up tomorrow with like forearm discomfort? Now you're down to what Colin Holderman, who's been like the worst reliever in baseball, or Justin Lawrence as your only two righties. I mean, they're not going to call Bednar back up right away. Maybe they would. I don't know. Well, they can't because they got to wait however many days. But like, there's really. I mean, it's Lawrence, and Lawrence is the guy after Santana as far as righties go there. So. That's why I'm kind of. I mean, I'm not going to pick him, but like a left like Baruki, no, I'm going to pick Ryan Baruki to lead this team in saves because they have 4 lefties right now. They've trusted Ferguson and Mesa with roles. So I feel like your strength right now is your lefties in that bullpen. So why you can afford to use one as their 9th inning guy, at least until you get Bednar back and you feel confident about him. So. I'll say Baruki just to be fun here. I do think, Bednar does get back because there's not a ton of options here. So as long as Bednar has like a good week or two in AAA, I think he'll be back. But for the sake of this, Baruki's going to lead the team in saves. That's my second bold prediction.
Big bold prediction bullpen here in Pittsburgh. All right, let's wrap up the NL Central with the Cardinals. Ryan Helsley's the closer there. If I had to bet on any bullpen, this might be the one where I bet that Ryan Helsley leads this team.
Yeah, this one and like Seattle are pretty much locks. Because there's 2 dominant closers and not a lot behind them. So yeah, Helsley's an easy one here. Even if he gets traded at the deadline, he should still have enough saves to lead this team for the whole year.
All right, let's wrap things up with the NL West, starting with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Competition between AJ Puck and Justin Martinez, but this is an AJ Puck show, so Rick, you better say the right answer.
Yeah, I mean, he's already got a 2-0 lead, so I'm going to say AJ Puck, but it doesn't mean just because I love AJ Puck doesn't mean I don't love Justin Martinez because Justin Martinez is so filthy and fun to watch, and they're both. This is probably the best 8th and 9th inning combo in baseball, I think. So, I think Puck leads them in saves. It's how we've been talking about it the whole year. So we're still Team Puck, but Martinez is still good and should be rostered everywhere. He'll get saves and he'll be nasty for your strikeouts and ratios.
Yep. Agreed across the board. Next, we'll discuss the Colorado Rockies. I mean, I don't think it's going to be Tyler Kinley anymore, and I don't think it's going to be Victor Vodnik. So I think Seth Halverson, who you pumped up all offseason, is probably going to be the closer throughout the season. He's already got a 1-0 lead on everybody else.
We mentioned Kinley briefly, like 2 weeks ago when we were doing our preview. We're like, Kinley's had a good spring, and he's the older guy, and he's been so terrible. He's been so bad, and he was never going to be the closer either. It looks like Halverson's been their choice since the start of the season. So, and Halverson's definitely pitched the best out of anyone in this bullpen. So now let's go Halverson for the team lead in saves in Colorado. I think he's rosterable. I'm not too concerned about him in Coors. They've, guys like bad closers have had decent seasons in Coors, and Halverson could be a good closer. So, yeah, that's how I look at it.
All right. Next, we've got the Dodgers. I think this one's going to be pretty difficult to choose. I mean, Tanner Scott's the closer, but I think you could choose anybody here. It's going to be really close. Scott's probably, I'm going to go with Scott. I think he's going to lead this team in saves. It's going to be really close, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of a committee than we thought. Treinen and Scott are going to mix and match in the 8th and the 9th, and that's fine. I feel both of them can be rostered, and Scott will probably get 25 5 to Trinan's 20 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirby Yates will probably mix in 10 as well, just for fun, because this team's going to win 140 games. So I don't think. I'm sorry that hurts you, but it's kind of entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. From an outsider's standpoint,
I'm glad. That's what I'm here for.
It,
the Dodgers are entertaining. I thought you were talking
Yeah,
about my disdain for them.
oh, yeah, no, just the Dodgers. But no, it's Scott by a hair. But Trinan's definitely worth a look, and definitely in 15 teamers, maybe even in 12 teamers. I feel like Trinan could be helpful.
All right, I agree. Next, we've got the San Diego Padres, where you've pumped up Robert Suarez a little bit in this podcast, but I don't know. How confident are you after what he's shown in this first week?
Yeah, this is one where probably last week I might have had a different answer, but I'm pretty confident Suarez for now. I'm gonna say the thing is though, and we didn't get to how dominant Jason Adam and Jeremiah Estrada have also looked. So all three of them have been like outstanding so far. And Estrada is going to be a great closer one day. I don't think it's not going to be in the first half of this season. So I'm going to say Suarez leads this team in saves. But if he does get traded at the deadline, we'll see Adam and Estrada, at least Estrada, maybe Adam picking up saves in the second half.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you across the board there. I know you just made a trade for Jeremiah Estrada in our league together, so you're pretty big on him. I thought you had some like secret info, like Estrada's like going to get some saves, but then you come in here and the first guy you're pumping up is Robert Suarez.
Yeah, I know that's a saves, only league, but I just like trying to help with ratios and strikeouts, and I know
you get points for holds.
Oh yeah, you do get points for holds. It's point, yeah. So I should know that. But I also I had to get rid of an out. I'm not like now, but I'm gonna have to get rid of an outfielder anyway at some point. So I was like, yeah, I'll take Estrada. I just love watching him pitch, and he's a he's good in points leagues because of the strikeouts, holds, and doesn't really wreck your ratios. So yeah, or not ratios, but he's not getting up a ton of runs or hits. So
yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, you sold me on Suarez, so I'm going to back you up on that one. And let's close things out with the Giants. A week ago would have been easy guess, Ryan Walker, but the way that Doval is pitched to start the season, I think I'm going to go with Doval because, I mean, I love Ryan Walker. I think I pumped him up more than just about anybody in the offseason. Right now, they're 2-2 in saves, but there's something about just what Doval did for them in the first few years of his career, where it was like, I remember 2 years ago when we still had Callan on the podcast, we did predictions of like, future Hall of Fame closers of the current guys that we have in the league. And Doval was one of the guys. It was like Clase and Doval were like the only two options future Hall of Fame type guys. Doval just had one down year, and it wasn't even the whole year. Really. You could say it was only part of the year, mostly just the second half where his command died down. So if he's pitching like he has been, I think Doval is better than Walker, and I think they would prefer him in the ninth inning.
I like that. Yeah, I can see that, and that's a good point about how what he's meant to that team. I'm still gonna say Walker, just to be a little good, just to make a counterpoint.
No, that makes sense.
But yeah, again, that's a good problem to have, that you have two really good closer options. They both have 2 saves so far. They've looked great. I'm wondering though if Doval is going to, he's going to miss out on some strikeouts by focusing so much on being in the zone and not walking guys. Because that's why he knows if he starts walking guys, he's gonna, either get sent down again or he's gonna have his role bump back. So I wonder if that's going to have an effect on his strikeout rates. But that's it. I mean, Doval so far, no walks, and I'm sure the Giants are thrilled. So, yeah, I feel like maybe it ends up being a bit of a 60-40 split, more, which is a lot more than what we thought going into the season. We thought it's going to be Walker, Doval is just going to be the setup guy. So, even a 60-40 split would be a huge win for Doval.
Totally. All right. Well, that wraps up the team by team save predictions. Who do you think is going to win the American League reliever of the year / who do you think is going to lead the American League in saves? It doesn't have to be the same guy.
It's like It's usually though because that's how those stupid awards. It's like whoever gets the saves gets the
Mhm.
award. So in the American League, I think Andres Munoz right now. I think that's a pretty easy one. I think is that who you're gonna say too?
That is correct.
I feel like that's the guy for me for saves. I'll give another one for pitcher of the year. No, you know what? I'm gonna say Munoz for both. I feel like he's looked really good so far. He looked great in the spring. I'll go with Munoz.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to back
Yeah,
that up. I mean, I think he's the guy who we talked about throughout the offseason as, of the guys in the back half
he
of the top
belongs in
10.
that.
He's
Yeah.
the guy who can be the clear top 5 closer in baseball. I think Jeff Hoffman's probably going to give a little bit of run for his money, especially as a clear cut closer. The past couple of years, I think he's been
Good
good
one.
enough to be in that conversation. But now that he's getting
Right.
saves, he'll finally get the votes that I think he deserves. And obviously, Clase is going to be in that conversation as well in terms of leading the league in saves and relief pitcher of the year. He's been incredible throughout his career. So I think those three are definitely on the top of the board. And we didn't even mention Mason Miller.
I know. I looked at him. Yeah, I it's going to be interesting though. That ballpark really. I mean, we knew it was a hitter's ballpark, and maybe this was just an outlier this past
Mhm.
week with that Cubs series. But I mean, balls are flying out of that place. So I know Miller's does a great job of missing bats, but that place just plays really small. So I might hurt his ratios a little bit there more than we had expected.
Yeah. All right. What about in the National League? Who do you think leads the league in saves and
Mm.
or wins relief pitcher of the year?
I want to. I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to be wrong, but there's a lot of question marks in the National League. So I mean,
Yeah.
like you have your so if Helsley and Suarez, who are both potentially being traded, get traded, I mean, you have a bunch of guys in committees. I mean, like Edwin Diaz feels like the safe choice here.
Yeah. Agreed.
Um, but that's not that fun because he's like the obvious choice. So I'm gonna say Trevor McGill. Because I mean he's got to stay healthy for a full season. We got to see that first. So that's what I'm kind of laying out on here. But I mean he looks great so far, and that's a Brewers team who there should be plenty of save opportunities for him. I mean David Williams is always able to fill up that stat category. So I feel like McGill, if he's able to stick her be on the roster for the whole season without missing time, I feel like McGill's a good candidate to lead the NL in saves.
Yeah, this is really hard. I mean, I want to sort of do a homer pick and just say whoever leads the Giants in saves is going to win the reliever of the year, but that's probably not the case.
I didn't say Aroldis Chapman because I would never. But.
Yeah, you really wanted to.
Yeah, no.
I don't know, and I don't want to pick Helsley either because like he could get traded, and he's going to have some regression. Trevor McGill is a great pick, I think. I don't know. I'll just go Jose Alvarado. I think the start to the season has been really fun. If he can keep this up and have a full year where he's working mostly the ninth inning and isn't walking too many guys, I think Alvarado will definitely be in the running for NL reliever of the year. And I guess, do you just want to recap the bold takes that you had as we ran through these teams?
No, it was just one more bold take. It's just it's going to be reliever related, but it's Mason Montgomery's going to finish in the top 5 in rookie of the year. And that doesn't seem too bold, but I feel like when you look at some of the rookies in the AL this year, like Christian Campbell's already having a huge start. Jack Leiter is going to be up there too. There's other guys, Jackson Jobe. So I feel like Montgomery, I don't think he's going to get a ton of saves. I think he's just going to have a dominant ratio strikeout, percentage that it's going to have to, you can't ignore it. I know he's a reliever and like they get ignored in these, in these MVP or player of the year type, awards, but I feel like Montgomery's going to be too good to kind of miss in that category. So I think he ends up in the top 5. That's my bold take.
Dang, I'm not gonna be able to compete with that. I tried to come up with like a joke to say, like the one that I thought of was my bold prediction is that Rick's bold prediction is not going to come true, but it's not that bold. or
That's
funny.
not that bold. It's well, I mean, it's probably not going to come true unless Mason Montgomery has like a
No, that's the whole point of
sub.
a bold take is
Yeah,
that it's
I
probably not going
know.
to come true. So then when I come
That's
in with a
true.
bold take and it's like that bold take's probably not going to come true, that's not bold.
What is Nick? What is Nick like? Has like a percentage he likes to put on his bowl
Oh, I
predictions?
don't
It's
know,
like
90?
it's like 90%. It shouldn't come true. No, it's like it shouldn't like 20%. It should come true or something like that. I don't know,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's where I feel like I don't know. Montgomery's the next Billy Wagner. That's all. That's all you need to know, and
Okay.
that's it. End of the show.
All right. Okay, that'll do it for this episode of In the Pen. Rick, why don't you go ahead and plug your social media and anything else you're working on?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and and Blue Sky at I am Rick Graham. And yeah, just plugging away on the the weekly lists. Tuesday for closing time, Thursday for hold up, and Friday for saves plus holds. And our bullpen dip chart is now on that Friday article as well. So that will have some changes tomorrow. I got to work on that after this.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. You can follow the pod at In the Pen Pod. I mostly am just doing podcasting this year, so you can catch me on the First Pitch podcast Monday through Thursday, and then In the Pen on Fridays. You can catch all these podcasts live. We record In the Pen Thursday nights, so you can tune in live to YouTube on Pitcherless, or on YouTube to Pitcherlist and watch us live. You can watch me live recording First Pitch at like midnight West Coast time. So if you're up at crazy times on the East Coast, feel free to tune in. But that will do it for this episode of In the Pen. We'll talk to you all next week.